Nichole. How are you today?
I am so good. I've already got my workout in. Good morning already.
Oh, good. That is so awesome. Thank you for being on this episode. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. So let's see. I'm a mom of three boys. They're all grown. My youngest is in his 20s, actually. My oldest played professional ball, my middle college ball, and my youngest son went to Africa. But now they all live together in a house and they go to college together, which is really fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know. I was a mortgage banker,
Mhm.
but recently left that to be the executive director of City Fam, which is paramount, really. It's incredible. And I guess just in the last few years, finished my master's in seminary and looking forward to seeing what is around the corner.
That is awesome. What is City Fam? Just for those who don't know what it is.
Oh, absolutely. So, City Fam is actually a nonprofit based in Baltimore, Maryland, but now has chapters all over the world, really. We're launching some new ones in some new cities right now, which is very, very exciting. But the main two right now that are fully functioning are in Baltimore and in Houston, where I live. And we do social events and we do service events, and we really just believe that lives are changed through the power of community, everybody coming together.
That's awesome. Yeah, City Fam has been very impactful here in Baltimore, and I know I've done work with them. That's kind of what brought us together
Yes.
through this. And this City Fam is amazing, and I'm so glad that you decided to jump on and do a session. So, what is one thing that I can really coach you with today?
So I'm really excited about this, by the way, because I've never had a life coach, and I hear the people who talk about it, and it's like the shifts that are made are so impactful. So I'm really looking forward to this.
I'm looking forward to it too. It's an honor. I'm glad that
um,
we can connect.
yes. Okay, so I feel like I'm pretty just in life, having been in ministry as a pastor for about 15 years, shifting into a whole different career, mid 40s into banking. I did that shift really well. And so I assumed that this shift from banking into nonprofit would be equally easy, if not easier. And
Mhm.
what I'm finding, even just as late as this morning, as I'm like wrestling with and working out, like, how am I doing things? I'm still struggling with some of that balance. And I don't mean like balance, like work, life, home. I mean, I don't have a lot of, I'm not married, so I don't have a husband to balance. My kids are grown, so I don't have that to balance. It's really just like narrowing my focus to the point where it's like I know my passion, I know my strengths, I know where I want my focus to be, but for some reason there's still all these little things that I can't seem to check off. Or actually, the real answer would be it's like I don't check them off.
Mhm.
So I would love for you to tell me, like, how to do both, how to take care of life and chase something.
Sure. So it's what I'm hearing you say is you have some things that might be looming through this transition that you haven't been able to necessarily complete and get it off of your plate. And so and as you make this transition, you're not fully maybe feeling that it's been easy because these things have been looming over.
Mhm.
So
If anything, I find myself like working with City Fam or writing the book or going to the UK, those are the things I want to do, right? Like I'm excited about them. They give me energy and they fit my strengths, and but yet at the same time, these things over here I think are, it's like drag. Like they're just ugh.
yeah. Well, I always look at it as like we're on a boat, and as we're on the boat of life that is taking us towards the direction of our passion and our desires and what we were created for, and really our purpose. That there's always anchors that try to hold us back, things that we don't see that is under the water, that is actually holding our progression to move forward. And those things, let's look at them as anchors. So what I'm hearing is there's probably some anchors that you have that we just really need to cut and get them done. Really take care of them and then cut them off so you can actually move into your destiny, into your purpose a little bit faster, right? That are holding you back. So let's identify a couple of them first. What are some things, what do you think are the anchors that might be holding you back specifically?
I think my house is one of them. It's fantastic. It's amazing. It's like very comfortable, but I feel like it's such a high responsibility. Like there's an acre and there's a pool and there's all of these things that I feel like I have to take care of, and they take so much time. Like a tree fell on the house the other day, had to go chainsaw it off, right? The pool pump died, have to get that replaced. It's distractions. And sometimes I'm like, no, I don't want the distraction.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's like I weigh it and I'm like, do I want to live in an apartment so I can follow what I really want to do? No. Like, I don't, that's where I am.
Okay. All right. Well, let's take this one, your house, right? So hey, I totally understand, I, run an organization, I have my own business, and, sometimes the house and maintenance gets in my way because all I want to do is move forward, right? And it just seems like they are just holding me back. But it's also something like, it's funny that you use the word distraction, that your house is a distraction. So maybe also I would really ask you to look at the way that you're framing inside of your mind your house, because you're looking at it as an obstacle or a distraction, where maybe you can look at your house in a different way. So let me ask you this: what way could you look at your house and have a different perspective about your house?
I could see it as a sanctuary or as a benefit to others, because like right now I'm leasing some rooms out, so it's an income generator. I could see it as, I mean, I guess sanctuary would be the same thing, like just a place of rest. I mean, it's comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So right now your house is actually giving to you.
Mm-hmm. It is.
But it's funny how you're framing it as a distraction, because if you're getting financial gain out of it, also you've learned a way to like make it work for you, but it's going to take a little bit of maintenance and it's going to take some attention out of your schedule. What if you look at it as a blessing? What if you see it as that this is a means towards your goal? Because especially if you're going from banking into the nonprofit world, financially, that's a big jump. It's a different way of really looking at your finances. What if God has already blessed you with this house, right? And you are generating an income of where you're not having to go and to necessarily work like a part-time job while you're pursuing this, but that he's giving you what's inside of your basket, what's inside of your hands, and he is showing you how to use that. So, lots of times when we look at things as a distraction or as a bother, our perspective, those words make us look at like we're tied down to them. But what if you change the perspective and look at it as, man, God's blessed me with this. I am actually making money out of this, and there's some maintenance things that I need to maybe time block into my schedule that I have to take, that I not just have to, but I get to take care of it. I mean, there's a lot of people who would love to make the transition in life, and they're looking and saying, how can I make extra money? And so they might do like a side business, or might have to work a second job so they can pursue their dreams. You already have this amazing house that you can look at it as, man, I'm generating income in this house. house. And instead of going out and being paid for the hours you work, you're able to be at home and you can live there. And then there's the blessing of housing other people. So what if you frame this as another business opportunity that's placed
Okay.
before you? What would that do?
I think that's definitely a possibility. Work through this with me
Yeah.
because I can't say I've ever thought as positive as you are about it. I love that. So I like it. It's good. It's a good shift. But I think part of where I'm coming from with the distraction piece is that I would love to be able to um, like liquidate the house and take the money that is equity in it and put it in a bank that makes me feel, and maybe this is the part that I need you to work through.
Sure.
I think it would make me feel more secure about my jump ship from making money to being to working with a nonprofit. Because I mean, I don't collect a salary, so there's that like deep breath that you take when you're like, wait, I don't make any money, you
Yeah.
know? And when you're used to it and you're used to providing for yourself, you know, so there's that piece. I kind of want to like just protect a little bit.
Sure.
And then the other piece of it is I would love to be able to like we went to the UK for a month and we were supposed to be there for 3 months. And now we have these different chapters that are popping up in all of these different cities from LA to Seattle to Columbus. Just this week, we ended up adding one in Kansas and one in San Antonio. And the thought of not having this here and having the resources to be able to like go spend 3 weeks in Ohio and
Mhm.
2 weeks in LA and like really work with people, like that's part of the passion. That's part of it. And I don't know if I'm maybe seeing it wrong. So help me wrestle that because maybe it's good to have the home base. I don't know.
So a couple things is if you liquidated your house and you took the equity and you put it inside of the bank, I do believe that you'll have that secure feeling. Yeah, because you're going to see the numbers inside of your bank, but your money is not working for you there. Like honestly, right? And you know more about banking than I do. I'm not a professional in the financial department. But if with the house you have a limited opportunity, an unlimited, sorry, opportunity for you to generate the finances and put that money that you make as your income to earn. So let's just say you have three rooms in your house, and you can rent those rooms out. On a monthly basis of let's say $800, and I don't know what your going rate is everywhere it's out there. $800, that is $2,400 a month. Maybe you have a basement that you can rent out for, these are some probably low numbers, but let's say you can rent out that basement for $1,000. And that is actually, that would be what, $3,400 a month that you can actually be living off of as an income to fund the things that you want. I'm not sure what you need for your income, but maybe really look at your budget. Do you have a budget? Do you work
Oh
with a
yeah.
budget? Okay.
Yeah, I do have a budget, and I like what you're saying is really good, and I know I could do that. I've had a couple of struggles. One is I still have a mortgage, so I have that gets offset in all of the income.
Yeah, sure.
I don't own it free and clear, um, and I've struggled with some of my tenants. Like there's some that are rock stars, amazing, never ask, you know, the rent is there on the day it is. Other times it's hard. And so I have to cover it at times. And that's I think part of the weight of it. I
Hmm.
mean, and maybe there's a way to do it better. Like I'm new at it. Like I've been doing the tenant thing for less than a year. So there's got to be a way to do that really, really well. But I
Are,
think that might be some of the pressure.
mhm. One thing is, are you looking at the people that are living with you, these tenants, are you looking at as that you're doing them a favor, Or are you looking at it as this is actually helping me pay my mortgage payment and my bills? What frame of mind are you looking at that as? Because
I think
when
I've
we
done both.
Okay. Okay. So I think especially when you're running a business, it's very easy for us to get attached, emotionally attached, and, hear like, oh man, I know they're having a really hard time. So I want to give. But then, ultimately you giving is costing you a lot of extra stress because maybe you're not setting up, your charity life is your heart, really. It's not even your charity life, but your heart is just going out, is so big. And so I also think the frame of mind you've been in is that I'm helping people, and that's great, and you can help people, but also helping people is helping people, holding them accountable to pay their rent. And so it also it might be if you've been in a mindset that, hey, I'm just letting these people stay here, it's great, yeah, you go ahead and pay, and you haven't been really looking at that. I am running a business, my house, I'm going to use my house as an income. I'm going to use it as an income generator to pay my mortgage payment. And then even when I'm gone, I'm going to set up my room as an Airbnb where people can kind of come in, because you live in a beautiful part of Texas, and like you have this amazing house that if you did want to go and travel the country, that's an extra income that can set off for you to go. So maybe it's even looking at your house as a business, as I'm running a legit business, and it's paying my mortgage payment, and it's putting food on my table, and this is a blessing that I have. I understand your mind with security, and but there's that's a limited security, because you're going to be, and then you're not bringing anything in at this time currently, right? So eventually that security that you're thinking inside of the bank is your bank account's going to keep going down, because you're going to have to pull your mortgage, you're going to have to pay your rent out of there, and you're not really even building in any kind of revenue. And so I think that God's really blessed you with this house. I think that the other thing is,
this is good, Lori.
I think the other thing that you might want to look at is that you can actually have caretakers. One of the rooms, if you don't want the need to caretake the house, one of the rooms that you're renting out, that one of the guys can be a person that actually takes care of, like if a tree falls, that he takes care of it, and that he's mowing the lawn, and that you're just supplying the supplies, and that you deduct, X amount of money out of that person's rent. And so they're the caretaker of the place. They make sure things are clean and taken care of. So that's off of your plate, so you can really focus on what you really want to focus on. God has really blessed you in that. And so let me ask you this question: where does your security come from? Is it looking at that bank account, or does your security come from the Lord?
I mean, I want to be able to tell you that I sit in this perfect place of trusting God with everything, and I feel like the majority of the time I can get to that place, but there are a lot of times that I go back to like, oh, like I want to protect, or I want to hold on to,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also like, so I've been divorced for a little over 3 years. So I think it's also that, like, figuring out how to do life alone. Like, I'm making these decisions by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And even like at the beginning, I was making decisions with my sons because they were going to college, and I was helping support college, and there was a lot of that. And so now I think, even for the first time this morning, I was even thinking about this for the first time. It's like, what is Nichole going to decide? And I don't know that I'm that good at it yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a learning curve. And honestly, I do believe that when we are single, Paul talks about that it's a blessing, because that we're able to focus our mind on the work that God has for us. I do believe it's maybe God has challenged you in your perspective, and how to reframe your mind and to really look at that this is just a season, and this is a season where you can focus on your desires and your passions and your purpose that God has. And, I really feel like he's saying, Nichole, I've already given you what's inside of your hands. Like, I've given you ways on how to create wealth. In the Bible, it talks about that God will give us ways to create wealth. I believe that he gave you this house as a blessing. But if you're looking at it as a distraction because you have to do it, it's really reframing. I always say gratitude puts us in the right frame of mind. Start to look around your house and be grateful. And start.
I'm looking right now at the pool, and it is just so nice.
Oh, see, that's beautiful.
I know.
That is beautiful. I wish I had a pool that I could go out and take a dip. But, there is maintenance to everything. So I wonder if you reframe your mind and start looking at your house as a blessing that God has given you, and a way for you to create this income, to pay your mortgage payment, and to actually be able to make money. So if you have a budget already, let's put it in practical terms. If you have a budget already and you know how much you need, just say, for instance, let's go with low numbers. I'm sure this is not it, right? And
I'll give you my numbers. I'm not afraid.
Okay. Well, I would love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I actually am really proud of some of this, because I went from needing $7,700 a month, just like that was my need, like to cover all the bills and everything that I was spending money on, to $2,800.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I feel like I did a lot of shaving.
You did a ton of shaving, and that's absolutely amazing, right? Absolutely. So you reframed your mind. You didn't look at it as this is an obstacle. You looked at it as a challenge. What if you take that same initiative that you had and that same mindset and look at the house as, oh, wow, this is a challenge to start a new business. And when you say it's a business and you're not just letting somebody stay or kind of renting a room out, but that you legitimize it as, this is an income. This is actually a way that I'm going to generate my $2,800 a month. And this is what I'm going to do. And so how many rooms possibly, I don't know what your house is, including a basement besides your room, if you have a basement, or even upstairs loft or whatever, how many places can you rent inside of your house?
There's 5 rooms and 4 bathrooms. Each room has its own bathroom, except for 2 of them share one, like a Jack and Jill.
Okay. Awesome. So what is, can I just tell you, this is a blessing. It is a huge blessing. So that doesn't include your bedroom, correct?
That does include my bedroom.
You have four rooms.
But I would really like to, like, not necessarily live here. Like, I would love to be able to, like, do just what I was saying, like travel, like spend a little time in all these different places. And my parents are amazing. I know that they would, like, hey, stay here, or, set me up. Yeah.
And especially with City Fam, you're actually going in, so there's ways to stay at other places. And so, like, really opening up your mind to do that. So, but currently, let's just talk about currently. Just can't move too much right now because of what's going on. So currently, 4 rooms, what is the going rate there for a room to rent, a house, a shared kitchen, let's just say some amenities, right? And then this beautiful pool, and you probably have internet. Well, we know you have internet. So what would be like a package price for a room that you would say is the going rate there? Not your charitable rate, but a going rate there.
I don't know. Honestly,
Okay,
that's my answer. I didn't even look into it. The way I did it, and this is not business minded, I will tell you, is I thought I want to be able to go do the things I'm doing. All I need to do is offset my mortgage, taxes, and insurance. And so this is what I need per room to do that. And I divided it up that way.
Okay. So, but we want to make this as an income.
Mm-hmm.
We want to make this as an income generator for you. So you're able to have, you're able to travel. So the $2,800, is that just your mortgage payment, or is that your budget for life?
So that's actually what I need after, like that's what Nichole spends on like my car payment, my car insurance, food, my cell phone bill, like all of that falls into that bucket of the $2,800. Now, and that's like my portion, believe it or not, my portion of the rent here because I divided it by 5 rooms. So that's me paying my slice of that pie, which if I had done it right, I would not have a slice of the pie. But as far as like the mortgage, I'm not counting that in the 2,800 because all of that is offset right now.
For now,
Right.
what is your mortgage payment then?
It's $1,800, believe it or not.
Yeah, that's, I mean,
That is good.
that's, so you really just need $4,600 to really be able to offset everything.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. So, and not, and that would be if you weren't paying, correct?
No, actually, you know what? I take that back, Lori. No, I worked it in that 2,800 because I've gotten down to the point where I really only have 3 bills: my car insurance, my car payment, my cell phone bill.
Okay, that's great. But
Well,
you still have to pay your mortgage payment. So what would your mortgage payment still 1,800?
but that 1,800 is in that $2,800.
Okay. Okay. So you don't have
That's not
that's not even counting that's counting everything. $2,800, your mortgage is paid and everything.
but that is not that's okay, sort of. Let me
Well, let
back
me
up.
give you some homework. So
Okay.
let's do this. I want you to not count what you're getting right now. Like if you had no tenants, because we need to start from exactly if there was nobody in the house and what you need in order to live. And let's just kind of throw out the number of $4,000. Say it comes up to 4,000 because that's just easy math. So if
Sure.
it's $4,000 and you have 4 rooms, not counting your own,
Yeah.
right? And you were able to rent those rooms, say the going rate, not sure of your community, but that's also some research. So you can put that down on your homework. So research what is, and that's really easy. Go on Craigslist, go look at some, like if you were going to go rent a room, what would that look like? So let's just say that actually looks like $800 and you've got 4 rooms. So that was $800 for everything, shebang, everything. They get kitchen, all the amenities, right?
Yeah.
If that was $800 and you had 4 rooms, that's $3,200. That only leaves $800 for you to figure out how to make a month.
Right.
And then all of that would be covered. That's not also including you paying a rent, right? And
Right.
so, which is beautiful, right? Because that's covering your mortgage payments, plus it's giving you some cash that you're able to work. And so so you only have $800 extra a month that you have to make up. I mean, doesn't that sound great?
It does. Like I don't know why. Other than maybe like it is like God saying, "Hey, it's time to let go." I don't know what it is because everything you're saying is like not only is it spot on, but it looks amazing. Like, why in the world am I not like? I, why do I not jump on that? What is that? Help me.
Sure. Well, it's our perspective. So everything that we've really talked about is how you're framing your mind, right?
Okay.
It's the way that we're looking at things. You were looking at your house as a burden, as a
Yes.
distraction, as
Mhm.
something that was holding you back. But really, in that perspective, it was very limited, and that's what we all do. We our perspectives at times is very, very limited. There's 2 lanes of our thoughts. There's the learner lane, and then there's the lane of judgment. And whenever we get down the lane of judgment, it leads to a place of self pity, and that's where we're judging everything around us, and we have this perspective that my house is a burden, and this person's burden, and this we're looking at all the negative. But what if you start to look and say, oh wow, wait a minute, there's possibilities. Hold on, why? Like, what is God? What perspective would you like me to see? What's missing? And all of us are missing things. We're missing our perspective because of really, honestly, we have been taught to judge, and it really boils down to judging. We're judging everything in our life. This is bad. This is good. Why can't it be both? Everything's both, right? It's not
Okay.
either or, it's and both, right? And so the
How,
and and both concept, pardon me?
No. Go
Uh,
ahead. The concept.
the end in both concept leaves a whole different perspective for you, because you can see, yes, there is some negative in the house, the maintenance. You're right. You're not like lying to yourself. I'm not asking you to lie to yourself, but look at, but then hold on, what is also the good in the house? What is the blessing of the house? You said some really great things. It's a sanctuary. You've got this great area, the pool. I mean, most of the bedrooms almost all the bedrooms have a bathroom. Like, there's some amazing things that you have this house, right? And so it's also opening yourself up to get out of judgment of what you don't have, but look at what's inside of the basket. Look what's on your plate, and we start to be thankful and grateful. And what opens up gratitude actually opens up our heart to start to see a way different perspective. So really, I just wonder where else in your life, usually if something's showing up in one area, it's showing up in other areas. What other areas of your life, and this is something that I want you to meditate on in your quiet time, what other areas in my life am I in judgment with and not in the perspective of learning or looking at opportunities? Where am I judging good or bad? Because there's good and bad in everything. And I think a lot of times our perspective wants to take us to the bad. We've been programmed, whether we believe it or not, right? We've been programmed to look at the bad and not always look at the good. See, there's good and bad in everything. It's not an either or thing. It's and in both. There's good and bad in every single person, like in our attitudes and our actions. There's some times where my attitude just sucks. And then there's other times where my attitude is beautiful. It's just part of life. And so I can choose to look at all the negative of my attitude, or I can look at, wow, this is my attitude when I'm good. And then I have an opportunity to take those things and that the bad attitude, and those are the things that I start to focus on and start to move forward into a good attitude. We have choices. And a lot of times we feel like we're pigeonholed. But usually when there's frustration in your life, I want to challenge you to look that frustration can actually also be the blessing that God has given you to get you out of that situation. So maybe the anchor is pulling up this anchor. It's not cutting it off. It's pulling it up, looking at it, and looking about what is it about? Why are you still anchored to this house? There's a reason why you're still anchored to this house, is because actually God wants you to reframe your thinking. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that was so good. Not only that, but I would love to know, how do I begin to recognize what you're saying so that I don't continue in that pattern?
Sure. So really, it's slowing down is number one. Is really being thoughtful of, how you're looking at this perspective. You can get out of judgment, right? And very easily. You can have detours. You can catch yourself. I catch myself all the time in judgment. And then when I catch myself, I have a choice. Am I going to stay and keep going down to the pit? Or am I actually going to switch my thoughts? And am I going to get into learner lane and start asking myself? And so it is something, number one, to slow down, because when you're going a mile a minute, right, we miss things in our life. And that's why it's so important, that quiet time, that taking time to meditate on certain areas of our life, and asking the Holy Spirit, show me some blind sides. We all have blind sides. So slow down. That's one thing. And then the second thing is, when you find yourself in judgment, be conscious of it. Set that intention that today I'm not going to be in judgment. And then when we program things, you ever have a conversation with somebody and they're like, what, I want to get a red car, and I want to get a punch buggy red car, and you have this conversation, and then all of a sudden an image of the red car pops up, and then you're going down, you get off the phone, you go down the road, and all of a sudden, all day, all you see is red punch buggy cars, right? Like, that's all you see. It's because your mind was focused. You gave your mind something to focus on. So what it did is it actually it said, hey, there's a red punch buggy. It happens very fast, but your intention was, because you had already talked about it, you set your mind, you had already seen that red punch buggy for your friend. So now you see it all the time. And guess what? Your neighbor could have had one right next door and you never even knew they had one. It was there because it wasn't brought to your attention. So being mindful, and that's what part of mindfulness is, right? Is being mindful of looking for the judgments in your life, right? And when you see that judgment pop up, then that's when you have a choice. I have a choice to kind of, I know where this road's going to lead, but hold on, I'm going to switch and say, what can I learn from this? What can I learn? Let me be open to it. What other possibilities are there? What other things are out there that I can look at and that I can see? And what it does, it opens up your mind. And so, I got a couple challenges and a couple homework. I always give homework.
Okay.
So I really want you to look at research. I want you to research, what does it look like to run your house as renting rooms? What are some liabilities that you might have to see? What is the going market? What does it look like to even do an Airbnb? Put your bedroom out for Airbnb when you're not there, and then make a list of what do you need to do inside of your house to make your house like that, where it is not just renting to friends and, oh yeah, you can come stay here, but actually being able to have that. And some of the simple things is, instead of having T keys, have a digital lock. There's cameras are really easy to put up and invest inside of your house, meaning like, if just in case, and let people know, you don't put them in their bedrooms, but in the common area, so if there's any issues. And so you gotta, the state of Texas might be different than where I'm at. So you gotta look at these things, but you need to research and look at, what does it really look like for me to make my house like this? Well, and then once you find the going rate, then really look how you can start to put a plan together so you can make your house your income, right? I guarantee you that if you go down this path, instead of taking the money and just putting in the bank, because there's nothing coming back in, that eventually after a while, as City Fam grows, you're going to be able to get an income. And as your book comes out and all these different things, you might be able, now that when you're replacing that income and starting to put the money inside of the bank, and now it's just not living on your bare minimum. God hasn't called us just to live life. He's called us to live life in abundance. And abundance doesn't mean just financially, but it does mean financially too. It's not just that. And only that, it's in so many areas. And so he told us that he will give us ways to actually make income. And so God has given you a blessing to make income, and then also there is a book, I cannot even remember what it's called, where this actual concept is. And so I will actually send you that and tell you what it is, and let you know. I think it'll be a great book for you to read. And so I think these are some good things for you to start out with. So how are you feeling?
I feel good. I think I feel challenged, let me put it that way, to one, begin to recognize like a mindset that I didn't even know that I had. I think that's probably one of the biggest takeaways right now, is like, I love to learn new things about myself. And like, this is just not something that I even thought. So this is like, this time, that's so valuable to me. And then one of my questions for you would be, if I am going to recognize, like you said, you can recognize when you get into that judgment lane and you can redirect, right? How am I going to recognize that if I'm not familiar with it? Is it like certain language that people, or like I use, you use, like, how do I do that?
Sure. So one of the things that you can do is have accountability. You have some people that are friends, that are living with you, that are with you during this quarantine time, during this time. So I would ask them to say, hey, if you start to hear me get into judgment, if you start hearing me complain,
Okay.
I want you just to let me know. And it's a beauty. A lot of times we don't use the people that are around us, that we're close to, because they're actually hearing us, and they might already be like, oh my God, Nichole, we're complaining. Why? It might be an open opportunity for another conversation for you all to have, right? You might not be realizing that you're talking about this all the time. So having friends that are going to bring awareness is actually going to be something that's great. Right. The other thing too is slowing down in the mornings and asking God. You have a relationship with God. Ask Him. Show me the areas. Show me where that is. Whenever I ask the Holy Spirit to put some checks in my spirit, that when I'm doing something, He's been really faithful to do that. He brings it. He's like, all of a sudden I realize. I just realized. And so it's a practice and it's a muscle. I have a choice. We all have thoughts all over the place. We have a choice to pull down that thought and to give attention to it. So when I realize that I can choose, am I going to listen to this thought? Like, oh wow, Lori, you're in judgment. I can push it away and be like, yeah, I want to be in judgment. It feels great to be in judgment. It really does. It's very
Lori.
right. I mean, let's be honest. That's why we're in it. It feels good sometimes just to complain, right? But it's actually having the discipline to get out of that and look for the opportunities. Sometimes we stay in complaints because we don't want to look at the opportunities. But the Holy Spirit is so beautiful. He's so amazing that he'll put a check inside of your spirit. And so you have the power to pull down that judgment thought. Like, okay, I am in judgment. So what do I need to do? I need to get out of judgment. Okay, what are the possibilities? And what I like to do is I like to pause and just write down, what are the possibilities right now? What am I missing? Ask yourself, start being in that conversation with yourself. What are the possibilities am I missing?
That's good. Yeah, really good.
Right. When we're in our quiet time, two things happen. When we're praying, prayer is, especially the Jewish Jews, they literally believe that prayer is not just a time for communication with God, but it's a time where they bring their hearts and their motives for examination to God. And that really changed my concept. So when in my quiet time, it's a time where I'm bringing my heart and I'm bringing my life as an examination. And when I've changed my perspective of prayer, it hasn't just been this communication, which it has been, but it's actually, God, check my heart, look at my heart, show me. And then the other thing is, when you read your word or you're in your daily devotion, that is actually a mirror. When we look at that, that's a mirror to look in our house, in our life. Jesus talks about, before you point your finger or judge someone else, judge yourself. There's a part every morning judging yourself. And that's not to like beat yourself up, but that's actually to examine some things that might not be there, right? That might be there that shouldn't be there, or not there that should be there.
Right. And I think that's exactly what prompted the conversation today, was because I do take that time in the morning, and it's reserved and it's set aside. And one of the things that is a daily request is, God, like sift my heart. Like, let's shake anything that needs to be removed. I only want the focus to be yours and the intention behind it to be pure. And I think today it was that message of peace, and it was like I couldn't quite put my finger on, like, I know I'm in a place of purpose. I know I'm in the right lane, but why is the peace not? Every once in a while, it just like it feels unpeaceful.
Mm-hmm.
And
sure.
so this is a good piece of this. Thank you.
And I believe if you look in your quiet time, maybe tomorrow, as an examination time,
Yeah.
I really believe that, some of the answers are going to come. So Nichole, thank you so much for your time
Thank you so much.
and jumping on here with me. And I really believe that your life and actually this session is going to help so many people, and you don't even realize that you're not alone. There's a lot of people that are trying to make this transition from, a career transition, maybe from the corporate world to the nonprofit world, or to be an entrepreneur and start their own business. So I'm just so happy. Thank you so much for joining me. And this has been so amazing. You be blessed and be ready that God's got some big blessings for you. So get ready.
Yes.
Thank you.